Hi there, I'm Max. In a moment I'm going to share with you some ideas on how confidence in teachers can be nurtured. But first, here are a few words about this video series, Under the Magnifying Glass. Welcome to Under the Magnifying Glass. This is a video series presenting different video articles to help teachers in their work. They are partially inspired by teachers and schools who have approached me to get some views on those themes. Perhaps one or more of the talks will be of interest to you. Welcome back. I'm an English language instructor based at Max's English Corner. One of my highest priorities in the classroom, more than getting through the syllabus, more than helping the students make progress in their grammar, vocabulary, their language skills, is to create a good learning atmosphere, to help the students see themselves as English language users. Most teachers, I believe, would agree that it is important for the students to feel and grow in confidence in a good learning atmosphere. But what about the teachers? What does it mean for the teachers to feel that they are in a good teaching environment, to feel and grow in confidence as teachers? One of the wonderful challenges of teaching is that there's so much to it that one cannot be a master of everything, nor should one be expected to be. Every teacher I know, myself included, is strong in some areas and lesser developed in others. If one is prone to many self-doubts or vulnerable to outside criticisms, then that person has to learn to put those doubts into perspective. I'd like to look at some situations we find ourselves in as teachers and add some food for thought concerning two perspectives for most themes. From the outside, what the administration can do, and sometimes this can include what your peers can do as well. And at a personal level, what the teachers can do for themselves to develop and maintain a healthy growth in their confidence. Let's have a look at some different factors that can affect the confidence of a teacher. For a beginning teacher, or even a seasoned teacher, but now working in a new school with an unfamiliar system, there's so much to deal with at so many levels. There's an enormous amount of pressure, and not being as competent as you like in these circumstances can certainly eat away at your confidence. What can be done? From the outside, peers and administration can make a point to help out, inform, and suggest things so the new teacher can better adapt to the ways of the school and the expectations involved. Perhaps an easy-to-understand manual or document that the teacher can reference repeatedly can be made available. Emotional support. Offer to be available for any questions. Check to see how the new teacher is making out. Acknowledge that it's tough in the beginning, but over time it will all become familiar and easier. Be proactive. Take the initiative to show some things to the new or newish teacher because she or he might be too proud or too overwhelmed or may not even know what questions to ask. This includes checking in again at a later date, providing reminders or re-showing something. Be patient. Allow for mistakes and give clear guidance. Just because the new teacher has been told 3 times what series of steps must be taken to open the class file, for example, that doesn't mean she or he is a bad teacher or is doing everything else badly. After giving the teacher a little while to settle in, do follow-up and comprehension checks to make sure the teacher is aware of those things. Don't expect the teacher to approach you or to know everything you've already shown before. Be supportive and positive in demonstrating and re-demonstrating what is necessary to know. This is from the teacher's perspective. The teacher should keep the bigger picture in mind. that for now, some things will not be done well, or they will be misunderstood, but there will be progress. Identify what has to be done and organize it in a way that seems feasible and understandable. Let that approach adapt and evolve. Determine short and long-term goals and also recognize progress, such as becoming more familiar with something or doing something more efficiently. Perhaps comparing how things were 2 weeks earlier or since the start. Make your own little manual or journal and write down reminders, procedures, user codes, list of names of people you work with, anything you find relevant. Theme 2. Job Security. It is a sad situation, but unfortunately true, that many hundreds of thousands of teachers lack job security, and this is a constant concern for them. This is especially true in the private sector, where some teachers are working without official contracts, or more commonly, their contracts don't reflect the work they are doing or the tasks and responsibilities they are expected to take on. The hours they get, the classes they are assigned, and even if they get rehired the following academic year, is often up in the air and frequently at the whim of the current director. Some places have set policies which regulate a minimum order of rights, but these norms are often overlooked or reinterpreted. Remember that it is not uncommon for some teachers to become bitter over time because of job insecurity or other bad working conditions. This is unfortunate because many good teachers, and potentially good teachers, leave the field or change in a negative way if they become overwhelmed with this. So, how can a teacher be confident when trying to live in a world of professional insecurity? From the outside, administration and peers, admit not all is perfect. I have found some bad working conditions easier to accept if the administration acknowledges them openly and at least sometimes offers to listen to the teachers' possible solutions or alternatives, or include the teachers a little in how the school is run. This may not necessarily mean any decision-making goes to the teachers, but it can. It can also just mean that the school wants you to understand that some solutions are not as simple as they may seem, that there are some mitigating factors to consider. Involving the teachers will help them to see this. Welcome ideas and accept some grumbling. Not all teachers' ideas can appreciate the different perspectives the administration has, but listen and reply to those ideas the teachers have, just the same. And accept some complaining. It is simply part of the whole package. It happens, but does not mean that the teachers hate you personally. There are some negative aspects to the job, and the teachers need to let off some steam on occasion. Be positive and respectful. Just like it is unprofessional for teachers to bring their problems to the classroom, the administration should keep a positive and respectful stance, even towards teachers who sometimes might not always contribute to the smooth operating of the school. Model how you would like everyone to treat each other, even when differences and emotions arise. It helps maintain a safer and steadier foundation for everyone. Have a spokesperson represent the teachers. Some teachers are more outspoken, and others don't voice what they're really thinking. Rather than forcing teachers into a very vulnerable position by bringing it up themselves individually, appoint or have the teachers select a representative who can present sometimes delicate points without being chastised. This can facilitate much more communication on all sides. The issue is the focus, not the individual raising the concern. And in this way, the individual doesn't have to be so worried about possible negative consequences by bringing it up. from a personal perspective. Be positive. Yes, job security can be one of the strongest negative points. But even in strongly regulated schools which protect the teacher, much depends on how well you get along with others. Being positive will help sway the others to treat you with more respect and regard, especially in those gray and less clearly defined areas. Be realistic. Being realistic helps keep expectations about the perfect workplace in check. Sometimes the situations and outside factors can heavily influence how things are done, and we don't live in a perfect world. Also, every person involved in administration, as teachers, as students, have their own and likely different views of what an ideal workplace should be. It is not possible to please everyone all the time. Be on the lookout for alternatives. Think out of the box. Think in the long term. Maybe you see administration people have paid holidays and steady employment, whereas your work is considered only seasonal and dependent on demand. You might like to eventually take a role on in administration in some capacity, or even propose one yourself to create such a position. Maybe you want to become freelance, and you can continue in your current school while slowly building up outside clients. Maybe you would like to become a YouTuber, perhaps showing teachers some useful techniques and ideas they can use in their classes. Be a good teacher for yourself. I consider this to be one of the most important topics of this talk. If you depend on students or administration to noticeably appreciate the effort you put in, you will be disappointed most of the time. You can still do some things to appease your supervisors, but work mostly for your pleasure and your progress in a complicated profession. Of course, that pleasure is mixed in with the satisfaction one can receive knowing that your efforts and ways make a noticeable difference in the students learning well. If you suddenly find yourself without work after you finish your current contract, you will still know you did a good job. You developed some areas that you wanted to, and that mostly you will have good memories of this experience. Again, I would like to repeat this point. Do a good job for your satisfaction and growth, not to please other people. Star teachers. Some teachers are better at some skills than others, and this might put them in a more favorable light than other teachers. This issue is a very complicated one. To what extent should people who are better at something be rewarded, including putting much more effort into improvements? If there is disparity in treatment, how would that affect the others? From the outside, it is hard not to see that some teachers stand out in some positive ways. Maybe students make comments to the receptionist, or you see them in teacher course evaluation questionnaires, or it comes out in the many interactions you have with the teachers. It's important that all teachers are treated with respect, and that they feel they are part of the school, that you will listen to them. Even though you might be enthused by what some teachers are doing, try not to make it obligatory for all teachers to do things in that way, unless it benefits everyone. If you try to make everyone teach like Julia, you will probably find a fair amount of resistance. You can make some suggestions and word them in a way that makes it appealing for teachers to try out one or two things that helps Julia be so successful. You might be more open to listening to any special projects those star teachers may wish to try out. Or if they are open to it, ask them to occasionally have a teacher who is struggling with something observe their class or speak to them about that issue. And, of course, it would be helpful to be open to non-star teachers' projects as well. Stars. Be sensitive to other teachers. If you are one of the star teachers, you may want to consider toning down your charisma or approach a notch or two if you're doing a substitution for a teacher who is relatively new to the field, for example. If the students are overwhelmed by your incredible competency, they may not be so eager to return to the regular teacher. You can still be a very good teacher, but save those extra wonderful ways for your own classes. And also, try not to appear to be condescending to other teachers. A humble and genuinely friendly approach will go a long way. For the non-stars, jealousy and insecurity could be an issue. In my first years of teaching, I got nervous if I ever got sick, because I was almost certain that the substitute teacher would outshine me and my students would lose respect for me. Where I could, and definitely over a long period of time, I was able to convert that insecurity into defining better those areas which I needed to improve in, and I set out to do just that. It took a long time, but I did get better, and I felt more confident as a teacher. Again, it is possible to acknowledge and direct that insecurity into ways that are constructive and beneficial. We are not perfect, and even if we don't want those feelings, jealousy and insecurity can affect us greatly, and we have to learn how to deal with it. Treatment sometimes reflects effort. Reflect on what you want and how much extra you're willing to put in. If you feel intimidated by some of the older or star teachers, reflect on both how your students regard you and what you want to get out of your teaching. If teaching is just a job to you, and you do it reasonably well, but are not motivated to developing it much further, then as much as you can, accept that there will be others who are more dedicated and will do some things better than you. It doesn't have to be a competition. You have your way, and the students learn well with you, and that is sufficient. You may sometimes be a little jealous of certain other teachers, but that is the price paid for not investing as much as they do. If you can accept that, you might feel better about the situation. If you are more ambitious, then develop a plan or two on how to explore and develop those areas you want to focus on. Maybe even ask those star teachers for some advice, or if you can observe them in their class with those areas in mind. Observing their classes might not only help you with those areas, but you can also see that they make mistakes too, or don't do everything perfectly. As much as you can, try not to compare yourself to others too much if it has a negative effect on you. If you want to compare, limit it to things that can be positive for you in the short and the long term. Otherwise, it will be destructive to your self-confidence and general self-esteem. Focus on just one or two themes. Define where you are, what you want to do well, and where you would like to go. Recognize, too, that you don't have to be a star to do your job well. Theme 4. Quiet but solid teachers. Probably in every school there are some popular teachers who are, or appear to be, very self-confident, and they are very dynamic and extroverted in class. They are popular with the students, and sometimes all this can be a bit intimidating or a bit much for some of the teachers. It's very possible that those star teachers who appeal to the students are good, or even very good teachers, but it's not automatically the case. There is a concept in educational psychology called the seduction of learning, and this can refer to the students feeling like they are learning and making good progress, but in reality, they may not. I've observed hundreds of teachers over my long career, and yes, I've seen some very good teachers who are also dynamic and they use their theater and energy to direct the class very well. That energy motivates the students and gets them moving, applying what they are learning with interest and enthusiasm. I've also observed many teachers who seem to be quieter, but that doesn't mean their classes are any less dynamic or good. They, too, inspire their students with very solid and well thought out lesson plans and are experienced at how to execute them well. The students appreciate the clarity and guidance, the frequent opportunities to practice, and the general solid nature of the teacher and her or his classes. They may not be swayed over to any over charisma, but they come to be loyal and attentive students, willing to go where their soft-spoken teacher takes them. From the outside. In observations and in general interactions, acknowledge what those teachers have to offer. Make a point of occasionally asking their opinions in meetings or when conversing with them about some topic. Let them know that they are genuinely appreciated and what they say and do is respected. At a personal level, you probably know if you're a teacher in this group. What I've listed here are just some of the things I've observed in quiet but solid teachers teaching their classes. For example, they keep their classes clearly directed and relevant and practical, so the students can apply their knowledge. You provide many opportunities to practice and for the students to make progress, and you are approachable to those students. The students know who you are too, and it's very possible they feel good in your classes and recommend you to others. You may not have the star status, but you are appreciated. Theme 5. Teachers doing their own thing. Teachers are forever trying to work out a balance between what the students need and the syllabus and expectations placed onto them by the administration. In this day and age, the administration has entered the classroom more than ever, often standardizing how or when to evaluate, the methodology to be used, what resources to use, what to teach, and even when to teach it. Some teachers welcome this and the clear structures which surrounds it. I'm going to address the issue that some teachers have when they would like to do more things on their own, which includes exploring what they or the students need and not what the system dictates. That added freedom and flexibility can contribute immensely to those teachers who feel the need to explore. Being able to do so contributes to their confidence as they learn much from their own explorations. From the outside, administration. Give a 2-tiered syllabus to the teachers. All teachers have a minimum core that all teachers are expected to complete. This leaves some extra time and space. For the teachers who need or prefer direction, they can follow the recommendations such as additional exam or language practice exercises, conversation class ideas, fluency work, videos, etc., with some suggestions on how to approach them. For those looking to dedicate a chunk of time in the course investigating something that they personally would like to explore, they have that freedom to some degree. They may feel it is something the students really need to focus on, or it could be something they are personally interested in knowing more about. Being able to conduct those explorations would definitely help those more ambitious teachers feel they are true professionals. Being able to make some independent decisions will help their confidence grow, both in themselves and in the institution they are working for. At a personal level, a good teacher doesn't have to be very creative or super charismatic. All teachers in their journey in becoming more solid and better versed in their repertoire need time and room to get better acquainted with some aspects of their teaching. It could be improving their board work, teaching grammar, classroom management, or shifting to a more student-oriented approach. Maybe it's trying out other methodologies like the silent way or Suggestipedia. Or it could be some personally crafted research the teacher wants to test out, like making their own materials or playing with different approaches. While most schools welcome teacher development, they often consider this to be done out of school time. So, you might have to find a way to make the time, especially when development as a teacher might be interpreted differently by the school. These days, teacher development as viewed by the school often means learning a new system they are imposing, not necessarily how to be a better teacher. If there's no time because the agenda is so heavy already and everything can only be covered superficially, then cover everything superficially enough so the students can get some idea of what those items to be covered are. But do it in a way that you have at least a little extra time left over on occasion. And with that extra time, focus in on and make some progress with that project you feel is important. It will help you in your personal development as a teacher. This extra time could be for your own personal projects, but it could also be dedicated to helping the students make greater progress in one or two areas, like getting to know a particular structure or a few verb tenses better, or working on their fluency or pronunciation, something that will cover a good part of the course, and the students will finish the course feeling stronger and better in that area. Theme 6. Being cocky or too self-confident. It's okay you recognize that the students love you or you have very good skill sets. But be careful that it doesn't make you lose your connection or blind you from seeing other things or growing more. You are experiencing good things for a reason. And if you are able to remain confident yet humble, you are more likely to continue experiencing good things. Getting too cocky or blindly following a well-rehearsed routine will lead you to lose that special connection. When you're a teacher, you are in some senses a performer. The public's eyes, the students, are on you. You're on the center stage, at least for some of the time. Listening to musicians, actors, and comedians talk about their work, I sometimes feel that there are some shared similarities with teachers. Much preparation goes into your performance, and as you practice or give repeated performances, you can fine-tune some elements and even allow some room for spontaneity or improve changes in your routine. It is a good thing to feel good about your work, but when that confidence intrudes or is dwelt on too much, when you begin to show off a bit too much, then you will begin losing that special connection and quality that you have come to appreciate and treasure so much. When you tend to rattle off a previously successful formula without that intimate contact, you will begin to lose it more. So, be good, be very good, but don't get too cocky about it. Theme 7. Interacting. Who you interact with, when and how often you interact, and how you do it can also contribute to your confidence in yourself and in your relations with others. This is wonderful for the teacher's confidence. Interacting with the students, find out a little about them, joke around with them, ask them questions, make comments. Adding that personal touch enriches everyone's experience, but don't leave people out. Get to know some of the other teachers more. It could be professionally, like exchanging viewpoints, resources, or doing peer observations. Or it could be personal, like simply being friendly or going for a coffee. This can help you feel you belong, as well as provide support when needed. interacting with the staff. Say hello to the receptionist and the cleaning staff. Have an occasional light chat or exchange with them and others in the administration, including your boss. You don't have to exchange or engage in long conversations, but that interaction can help smooth out the way people treat you and create a more positive atmosphere. Tying it up. Teacher confidence is important. If teachers feel good about themselves, they are in a better position to help their students, their fellow teachers, the school. It's that simple. Some aspects of the job are not easily changed, but there are many things the school administration can do and many things each individual teacher can do. In summary, confidence is good, especially if it comes from a healthy source and is nurtured to develop in a way that keeps the teacher willing and able to deal with many of the challenges that one can encounter. It helps immensely if the school, peers, and other important sources can offer support and contribute to that nourishment, and the teachers reciprocate that support and respect. Even with the absence of outside support, each teacher can take steps to form and build up her or his confidence in their abilities and skills, and to appreciate the successes they achieve in their career. Well, those are some of my thoughts on how one can go about growing confidence in teachers. I hope you found it useful, and if you'd like to leave a comment, I would like to hear from you. I wish you all to feel good about yourself and the work you do. The field of education and life in general is changing fast. But many of these basic elements can continue to be relevant and help teachers feel good about themselves and their work. If you feel this presentation has been helpful in any way, share it with others and let me know. Maybe you'll find some of the coming videos interesting. Have a look. And all the best to you.